Hi, my name is Anthony with Preparation Purpose, and I've got another video for you talking about job search processes and strategies. So let's get right into it. Question number one. Why do some companies take months to respond after I apply? Honestly, it's going to vary company to company. Some companies are a little bit backwards in their processes. And so an example of that is that they will post a job for several months and then they'll take the posting down. And so during that time frame, they're they're creating their budgets for said positions. They're giving time for the hiring personnel to be in position to set up and schedule interviews. Because what ends up happening in some of these companies, there's not a set person that just strictly does interviews. Sometimes within certain organizations is that you have department managers that may have to wear multiple hats where they're running a team and they're doing training and doing all these different things, and now they got to put on another hat, and now they're scheduling for interviews. So be mindful of that. Is some companies just operate differently, and so just because you do apply, you don't hear back, it doesn't necessarily mean that you won't. And I would even go to far as to say that I've seen personally in my personal experience in the past where I've gotten a rejection letter and then I've only been contacted for an interview later. So it can be hit and miss. So just stay positive and don't get discouraged. Next question. How many jobs should I apply for each week? Now, this is going to vary person to person based on their field of industry. And so I'm going to give you I've talked about this in several other videos. My personal belief is when you apply to a job, these should be jobs that you choose to apply to. Now, most major corporations, most companies are not posted on job boards. So what that means is that, say, for example, if you're a mechanical engineer, you probably not going to have very much success going on Indeed.com looking for a mechanical engineer. Not to say that you can't or that you won't find those roles, but if you truly want a job that's going to be right for you, you're going to have to identify good companies that are known for having solid, smart, professional mechanical engineers. And so it may be manufacturing companies, it may be car manufacturers, it could be like a Nissan or a Honda, Toyota, Ford, any of these major manufacturers, they could be looking for mechanical engineers. And so a lot of times, most major manufacturers or most companies, they use third parties for their employment. And so what ends up happening is you may be dealing with a temp agency. And so some people do temp agencies, some people have a little bit of both. And so I highly suggest that you're looking for jobs, that you are finding particular employees that you're interested, that you know that have these particular roles that you're looking for. Vet that company out. Make sure that they're in good financial footing, that they have a good culture that's conducive for growth and opportunities, that they have a good reputation in the community where they're not treating their people bad and not selling trash or treating people badly. But look for those things with those said employers. And then as you find one or two of them, those employers, you can use AI and ask AI, who are their direct competitors that are very similar in business structure. And so that's going to give you more opportunities of other employers that are hopefully within your location where you're looking to work, that's going to have the same benefits, same pay titles, all those same things that you look for from that initial company. And that gives you more exposure, more opportunities for employers to apply to. By doing that, once you identify, say, 5 or 6 employers, vet them out. And if you've identified that they're worth applying to, then apply. Now, you may also come up with other companies doing this method. You may say, well, hey, outside of manufacturing, what if I want to do, go into, there's so many different technological industries now. You may want to go into cell phone. You may want to go into satellites. You may want to go into robots. There's so many different fields of industry. So you can, look for specific companies that are specializing in what you're interested in and vet that company out. And then, they meet your needs, they fit the criteria what you're looking for, then apply. But also before you apply, or you can apply, but find other competitors that are similar on that same spectrum of employment. And so you find other employers that are doing the same thing that are their competitors. And so that way you can bounce between them, because what ends up happening is, say, for example, my favorite scenario I like to paint is Coca-Cola. I don't even drink soda, but I like using Coca-Cola as my scenario. Say, for example, you're an account manager at Coca-Cola and you've been there for, a couple of years, and you really want to move up to be a senior account manager at Coca-Cola. But for whatever reason, there's never an opening for this position. A lot of people are tenured, they've been there for years, and they're not going to move until they retire. And so you don't want to wait a few more years till they retire. You want to be promoted now. You feel like you do a great job, that you're only going to do better in that role than they are doing. So, hey, then you apply to Pepsi, apply to Dr. Pepper, apply to Snapple, apply to, I don't know, so some of these other beverage companies, some of these startup companies that are pretty new in the market. Apply to them and apply for that senior account manager position because you have this experience with Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is a global name. So that name going to carry weight. And if you've been proficient in your role, you are a hot commodity. And so what I'm saying is that you can leverage that. So maybe you couldn't get promoted with Coca-Cola, but now you can get that position at Pepsi. Now you're at Pepsi. You got a few years of being a senior account manager at Pepsi, and now you're like, hold up, Coca-Cola's applying for a director of account managers. I would be great in that role. All the experience I've gained from both Pepsi and Coca-Cola, and I know knowledge of the industry as a whole. So now you can apply back to Coca-Cola. So what I say that is so important as you leave. Do not burn bridges as you leave to go from one employer to the next. Because what I'm telling you is that your career path is on this trajectory that you're working with similar companies in the same field of industry. And so this is going to be your, what's the word? Your nucleus. This is going to be your nucleus because within this nucleus, you're going to find as you branch out. So I'm going to compare this to a tree. So you have a tree with branches. The tree is the industry. Say, for example, it's beverages. And so you're on this tree. So then you branch out. You have Coca-Cola. You have this branch that you can go to Starbucks. You have this branch that you can go to Pepsi. You have this branch you go to Dr. Pepper. You have this branch you go to Snapple. You have this branch you go to I don't know. I'm sorry, but you get what I'm saying. It's like there's so many different pathways or branches that you can branch out to, and they can lead back to another branch. Sometimes the branches start growing, and it's like you have one branch, and then as you know, it's like branches branching off of that branch. And at some point, it's going to intersect with another branch. And so I say all that to say, don't burn bridges. Create opportunities within your scope of opportunities. And that's going to help you to create more opportunities, to have more opportunities to apply for more jobs. And so again, answer that question, how many jobs you apply for each week, as you expanding your job search, as you're expanding your search within the industry, you're going to notice there's going to be more and more pathways that fork off that, and you want to evaluate that fork of like, you're going to come across that fork in the road where you go right, you go left, you go up, you go down. And typically I'm hoping that you go right or left, you go up and not down. And so you're going to find those opportunities where you can get promoted, or it's going to be a lateral move and you're going right or left. And so that lateral move, it may be venturing to a different department or different area within that same industry. So you're going to have a lot of opportunities, but I want you to really be smart and strategic with your job search. So that's going to really give you more opportunities, because the more opportunities of meaningful opportunities, I'll say that, the more meaningful opportunities you have to get hired with the employer that you really want to work for, that's going to dictate how many opportunities that you should be applying for each week. And then you want to focus on maintaining proper organization of keeping contact of every job that you apply to, the times, the dates, who contacted you back, who gave your name and an email address, and you keep those and you following up with them 24 to 48 hours, and you say, hey, I'm really interested in an opportunity. Thank you for contacting me. I definitely want to move forward with this position. If the opportunities come available, I'd love to meet with you in person or virtual at your convenience, but just, hey, let's connect. And then you get the interview. And then you're keeping track with everybody you come in contact with, sending thank yous after the interview. Thank you for your time. Thank you for making the time to speak with me. I just want to convey that I really appreciate your time, and I'm very interested in moving forward with your company. Let me know next steps. That's it. And then it's a waiting game. But the more of those type of opportunities that you have, the better opportunity you have to get hired. So it's about being productive. A job search is like working a full-time job. So it takes time. It takes strategic processes and steps to make sure that your actions are producing fruit. All right, next question. How can I stand out when so many people are applying for the same jobs? The best way you can stand out is, in my opinion, is a cover letter. Now, a cover letter doesn't necessarily have to be the traditional cover letter of 4 or 5 paragraphs, and you really listen out a lot of stuff that's on your resume. It's a summary. It's an introduction to you, to the recruiter, to the hiring manager is what it is. And I highly suggest that you're using it. But in the cover letter, you've got to convey your passion. You have to convey your passion for wanting to be an employee at that company. It could be, my dad, we use your product as I use your product as a kid growing up. Everybody in my family loves it, and I just want to help the next generation to really appreciate and be able to have the opportunity to use the product like I did. And my field of experience, my field of industry is this field. And so I want to help you guys to continue to grow and be around for future generations to use your products. And I know that's a lot of fluff, but ultimately I just say all that to say that you want to have a kind of a story that ties you into why you want to work there. It could be just like, hey, I knew as a child I wanted to be a mechanical engineer. And my journey to get me to this point is I went to MIT, I studied up, I'm in robotics, and I'm doing a lot of different things that I always dreamed of doing when I was a kid, from when I was a little kid playing with Lego blocks, building robots, and now I'm building the real things. And I would love nothing better than to continue learning and building robots with your organization. But it's, have a heartfelt story. It doesn't have to be bring tears to their eyes or like, oh, we gotta, you just want something to get them from the store, grab their attention. You can use AI to help you generate your cover letter to kind of make it more flow better together. But using that is going to help you stand out. And then just your resume, making sure that you're putting relevant job skills on your resume. And then putting skills that are highly sought after. Soft skills are a highly sought after skill set that a lot of people don't have. If you think about it, I'm giving you the scenario. To the young kids nowadays, they're on their phones, friends, and they're just in a group of kids and they're just texting and nobody's talking to one another. Social skills are very, very important, and companies need this because they got to create teams and collaboration, and they got to have meetings. And if people can't communicate and talk to one another, it's not going to work. It's going to be a failure. So highlighting your soft skills, that you're a great communicator, that you pay attention to detail, that you are a great communicator, both written and orally, whatever it is that you need to highlight, like, hey, I'm a team player, talk about like, it may be a lost art, but, clubs and, activities, extracurricular things that you did, being parts of clubs and different organizations. One of the things out there that if you're between jobs and you have an employment gap on your resume, I would say highly suggest that you're filling those employment gaps with personal development. One of the things that you can do is Toastmasters. Toastmasters is a program that helps you with public speaking. There's other things you can take, designations, get certifications. And I also understand sometimes when you're out of a job, you don't have the funds to go out and continue to pay for further development and things like that. But hey, there are also free courses that you can take online. Some schools are offering free courses. So you can take those free courses and add it to your resume. Say, hey, during this time, I took this 6-week course at the University of Georgia. It was online. It was an online program, and I took it, and it taught me about soft skills and communication. There's certain courses that's out there that's intended to help people get in the workforce. So make sure that you're taking advantage of those and highlighting those skills and those opportunities on your resume. The next question: should I use AI tools or resume builders when applying for jobs? Absolutely. Anything that you can do to streamline your process is going to help you. But I'll have to warn you that if you're using AI on your resume, a lot of times AI will create really good resumes, but it's also ad-libbing in your resume. You want your resume to reflect who you are and what you bring to the table. So it's very important that you're communicating or updating that resume that AI generated and just going in and customizing it to fit what you bring to the table. So I highly suggest using AI because it's definitely, as a time saver, it can streamline your process. And also asking the questions to make sure that it's going to be good to meet like the ATS, applicant tracking systems. So it's using keywords that doesn't get your resume thrown out. But definitely use those things. And another thing, when it talks about resume builders, a lot of times you have these job boards that will help you build a resume. Those are well and good to use. But I highly suggest, like, if you go on Indeed.com, simplyhired.com, LinkedIn, jobs.com, places like that. If you create a profile, mark your profile private so that way you're using it to only apply to the jobs that interest you. Because a lot of times what ends up happening, and I can speak to this for certainty on Indeed, is that there are specific life insurance companies that will see your resume and they will see you a solicitation email saying, hey, they'd love to meet with you, to give you an opportunity to come join their team, and you can make up to 50,000 or more, 50 to 100,000 or 150,000 per year. It is 100% commission based, so you're working for free, where you're going out trying to drum up leads and all that type of stuff, working yourself into the ground, and you're not making any money because nobody's buying any policies. Do you really want to subject yourself to that? I don't think you do. So I would suggest that you mark your profile private, so that way you avoid those soliciting recruiters that are soliciting for industries that you don't want to work in. So guys, I hope that information helps you. I have a lot more videos like this on my website, preparationwithpurpose.com. I also have other resources. I do offer career coaching advice and services. I help you do mock interviews. I help you do resume writing. I help you do career path setting, goal setting. I help you job search. I help you narrow down what are good industries that you can work for and apply to. I do, from applicant to hired. That's what I help. And so if you need help with this, definitely schedule a free consultation on my website. I would love to help you to get hired today. Again, resource on my website. Check them out. If you like these videos, I'm going to keep more of these coming with these question and answers to help you get insight and strategies to help you streamline your job search process, but also most importantly, to help you get hired faster. That's all I got. If you like the video, do like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys soon.